Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the gun dissection series that we're doing here on the channel. Today we're going to be covering this second row of weapons right here, which are the SMGs Stinger, Spectre, and then the shotguns Bucky and Judge. So let's just get right into it. We're going to start with the Stinger. Stinger is a 1000 cred gun. You can see it's pretty cheap. I believe it's the second cheapest non-sidearm gun in the game, just behind the Bucky, which we're going to get to in just a minute. Stinger has a 20 round magazine with an extremely high rate of fire when not scoped up, and a 4 round burst that's also pretty fast when scoped up. So let me show you the example of that real quick. Keeping it at 5 meters. Actually, let's look at the numbers real quick. So the Stinger's headshot is 67 and 62 based on range, differing at 20 meters, 27 to 25 in the body, 23 to 21 in the leg. So there's not a whole lot of damage fall off when it comes to just distance between you and your target, but there's also not a whole lot of damage between or in the shots just in general. But this is made up for just in the fact that the Stinger has one of the highest rate of fires in the game, if not the highest rate of fire. You can see it has 18 rounds a second for the primary fire right there, and then the alternate fire, which is the burst that I was talking about, only does 4 rounds a second because that's the burst. You get 1 burst per second. We look quickly at all these fire rates right here. The one that comes closest is actually the Odin when it's fully revved up at 15.6. Frenzy is only 10 as well. So yeah, the Stinger has a significantly higher rate of fire than all the other guns in the game. So if we go ahead and look at the unscoped fire rate, I'm just going to fire directly right in the middle and just let it go for about 20 bullets. I'm not going to be pushing down with it or anything. I'm not going to be pushing up, left, or right. Just going to be holding down the fire button. That would be about 20 bullets. So you can see the spread gets a little bit wacky. You move up, and this is, even at 5 meters, having it super close to you. If we look at much further out, 20 meters. Fire again. You see the spread gets kind of crazy, especially not even that far away. Let's bring it back in closer. Let's take a look at the scoped up. So you can see if we fire right in the middle here, you get the 4-shot burst. And so even if I'm holding down the left click, which I'm doing right now, you don't actually fire the next burst until you lift up and then click again. And with the clip only being 20 bullets, you get 5 burst shots. So that would be your whole clip. So you'll find that the accuracy on the Stinger is significantly better when scoped up. See, it's, at least staying somewhat in the first 2 rings, jerking up and to the left just a little bit. Now, it's worth noting that I believe the first 2 shots in the burst stay fairly accurate with one another, and then the next 2 kind of, have that jerking up motion. See, it goes 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the spread is pretty consistently up and to the left. But there's always a clump of 2 or 3 bullets right here in the middle. So let's look at the damage. So if you're aiming in the chest, hitting all 4, you're doing 108 damage. That's a 1-shot kill without armor. If you're getting any headshots in here, all 4, that's a 1-shot kill with any amount of armor. So if you're going somewhere in the middle, that's about a 1-shot kill with full armor. It was 2 damage short, and I believe I only got 1 headshot there. Let's see, 67, and then 27 times 3. Yeah, that would have only been 1 headshot. So that last burst had 3 body shots and 1 headshot. So if we can get a little bit higher. Yeah, you can see 220. This would have been 3 headshots. So the Stinger's pretty good in its burst. It's fairly accurate even from a really far length away. You can see if you're seeing someone way out there. That's not too bad. You're probably going to hit these first 3 shots here. This one's probably going to go a little bit wide, but you're also crouched down. Let's clear it so I can show you what looks like completely crouched down. If you're letting it reset every time, you can see not even a full clip when you're hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 15 of the 20 shots in the zone that you're looking for, which is pretty good. Go ahead and bring this back closer to me again. And so let's look at the gun underneath the stim beacon with brimstone, see how crazy we can get the burst to go. And that was with me maintaining it and trying to fight it. It's a little bit crazy. You can see it's firing insane. It's incredibly fast. Let's try it with just the burst fire.
Beacon here.
Crouch down as well. That's good. Very, very accurate, especially crouch down this close. Let's try it at about 20 meters underneath the stim beacon as well, while scoped up. Yeah, it's not too bad. If you're not moving, the accuracy is very good. You're going to see it's hovering up just a little bit from, you know, where we're aiming, which is a little bit in the middle. But you're going to expect some inaccuracy, especially with burst fires underneath Brim's combat stim, because it's firing significantly more faster than you're used to. It's harder to fight it down from what you're used to. So yeah, Stinger's a very good gun. It's very underrated. A lot of people think that it being one of the cheapest SMGs, or just one of the cheapest weapons in general that you can buy for a primary, means that it has to be terrible, and that's just not true. It's significantly more forgiving than either one of the shotguns are, because of the fact that you're putting 20 rounds out super fast. You're putting the 20 rounds out in just over a second. You can see the fire rate is 18 rounds per second. With a 20 round clip, you're firing your entire clip in just over a second. But if you think about it, that much, if that's 20 bullets, that's a lot more forgiving than the one shot you're getting off of a shotgun before you're having to reset the shot anyways. So essentially, if in a close quarters combat situation, if you're not getting burst shot, completely one shot killed from a shotgun, you're going to have a significant advantage because of the fact that they're reloading that next shell while you're able to spray them down up close. Further away, you obviously have the advantage just because of the damage fall off numbers when compared to the pellets of the shotgun. And you're also only spending 1,000 creds for this gun. So if they're saving 100 on you on the Bucky, but if they're not one shot killing you, you're probably winning that fight against them for that 100 cred bonus, which is a significantly lower investment than, say, buying any of the rifles and winning that fight as well. Let's go ahead and look at the Spectre now. Spectre is one of my favorite guns in the game. I'm a big fan of the silenced guns, so the Ghost, Spectre, and Phantom. I like these guns a lot. The Spectre is 1,600 creds. You can see it has a fire rate of 13.33 rounds a second, which is up there, just when not compared to the Stinger. You can see the Phantom, for example, has 11. The Vandal has 9.2. Ares has up to 13 when fully going, and the Odin has up to 15. So it sits somewhere between the Ares and the Odin, just over the fully revved up Ares. The damage is 2.26 to 22 at 20 meters for the body, 78 to 66 at 20 for the head, 22 to 18 in the leg at 20, and the magazine capacity is 30. Now, notably, this also has medium wall penetration, while the Stinger has low penetration. I forgot to mention that. And the Spectre actually has a slowed down fire rate when scoped up. You can see how the Stinger has a burst fire of 4 rounds, much like the Bulldog. The Spectre actually slows down to 12 rounds a second when not scoped up. So it's not a lot, but it's definitely noticeable. You know, if you're firing, you should be firing in bursts, but if you're holding down the spread, you're going to be getting about bullet and a half less out per second. Let's get to shooting. So the Spectre, let's go ahead and just free hip fire while standing up. You can see first 2 shots are pretty good, and then it moves up and it stays in a general area just above where you were wanting to go with it. Let's see the slowed down attack speed when scoped up here. Looks about the same. You can see the jump is a little bit higher, but once the spread settled, it, you know, started firing all around the same point as well. So the gun is definitely made to be burst fired. And you gotta let it reset. Even if you're burst firing and not letting it come back to rest, you can see that it's still bouncing around left and right as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at some crouched accuracy. Again, I'm not fighting this. I'm just holding down the fire button. Yeah, you can see you get the first few shots off and it just immediately jumps up and still hovers around here, which you're going to notice is happens a lot with automatic guns. Let's try it as aimed in and crouched. Sort of the same situation, except it didn't really jump. It kind of trailed up there. Look at some damage numbers. I'm going to put them at 10 meters. You're going to see a decent amount of people at 10 meters. You're getting 6 shots into the body is going to get him, if you can get it. You know, that's a kill. If you can get some headshots, that's a kill. So, I mean, Spectre's very good. It's very quiet as well. People really underestimate how little information you can give away just by having a silenced gun, sneaking up on someone and getting a kill. You know, if you're running around with the Vandal, getting headshots, yes, you're killing them in one shot, but you're doing it very loudly. People are going to be reacting to where your shots are coming from, as opposed to the Phantom or the Spectre or the Ghost, for example. They can hear the shots hitting the wall, but they're not going to know where it's coming from. You know, that shot can be coming from me here. That shot can be coming from me here. All they're going to hear is the contact on the wall. But yeah, the Spectre is a very, very good gun. It is when I need to buy a primary gun and I'm not really feeling any of the rifles. The Spectre is my go-to. I also like the Stinger a lot more than probably, you know, 99% of the Valorant community. But I really, really like the Spectre. I would argue that I like the Spectre probably more than anyone that I have played with. I think the gun is very, very good, especially for 1600 creds. It rivals a lot of the rifles, maybe not in range, but up close. You know, the spread's so low when you're up close with someone. It's easy to come around a corner and get that kill. You know, they're going to be getting the one-shot kill on you, but if you're walking down looking like at the ground, Spectre's not going to be very good for you. But if you're looking up, watching people, you can see I got 4 shots off in a very quick, very easy to do. And you're spending 1300 less creds on the Spectre, which is getting you that same kill potential than on a Phantom or a Vandal that's going to have about that same kill potential for 1300 more. I mean, people really have to react to you. They really have to know where you're at to be able to react to you getting those shots off. Let's go ahead and move on to shotguns real quick. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the Judge, and then I'm going to end on the Bucky. So when you look at the Judge, it's a 1500 cred gun. It is a semi-automatic shotgun, or it claims to be fully automatic, I suppose, here. Damage is 17, 13, 10 at up to 10, up to 15, and up to 50 meters per pellet. On the body, the head is 34, 26, 20. The legs are 14, 11, and 9. Again, at up to 10, 15, and 50, respectively. Fire rate is 3.5 rounds per second. And the magazine capacity is 7. So, the thing about the Judge is it has that shotgun burst potential in just the fact that it's putting out so many pellets per shot. But it's so much less forgiving than the Bucky is in the fact that if you miss your first shot, you're not just waiting for the second shot to come through. And you'll see that in a little bit when I get to shooting the Bucky. But you can see there's a significant increase in accuracy when you're crouched versus uncrouched. Let's just go ahead and I'm going to fire just 7 shots. I'm going to hold down the left click button. So you can see the spread got pretty insane there. But it is a shotgun. So every one shot that you have with a shotgun, you're going to notice there's a bunch of different pellets. This is true in real life and in video games. Shotgun shells contain a number of pellets that once expelled from the gun burst out and spread where they're hitting. Unless, of course, you're talking about a slug, which I'll discuss in a minute when we get to the Bucky because of a special circumstance involving specifically that gun. Let's do the same thing crouched here. I'm going to fire 7 shots holding down the left click button. So you can see there's definitely still a spread, but it stays within the first 2 rings. And once it moves up to the left or up to the right a little bit, you can see it actually stays pretty consistent here as well. So let's go ahead and look at, we'll do it here from 5 meters while shooting the dummy. I'm going to just do 3 shots. See, 578 damage. That's because all of my pellets are hitting him. Now, and that is very good. Not even going to lie to you. Here we go. Yeah, 629 over 3 shots. But you can see that little 36 in the parentheses right above him. 612 over 36 shots. The 36 that it's talking about there are the pellets. 12 pellets per shot from the judge means that when you're firing 3 times and hitting all of the pellets, you're hitting 36 pellets worth of damage, which is what this damage chart actually explains to you here. You can see that's per pellet. And so if we move him back a little bit, we'll go 20 meters. That's a little far. We'll go 10. Crouched, you can see all of these are still one-shot kills. But you can see I've missed 3 pellets now. Now, if I'm going for the head, I only hit half my pellets. Granted, that was still a one-shot kill. You know, scoped up completely, crouched, standing still on him. That's a one-shot kill. But if you're moving, coming around a corner, and you see a guy, you get a shot down, you can see for that example, actually, I just completely missed. That example, that's only 65 damage. And you have to assume that you can't just even crouch, you know, crouch shotting, trying to get the accuracy. If we simulate knowing that he's there, you can kind of peek. But that whole time he's going to be exposed to you. So you got to think, you're doing that. That's not a one-shot kill. That would be a 2-shot kill, but he has that much time to react as well. Now, if they're even further away at 20 meters, you're starting to really lose your capability of doing really anything to them. So we're going to crouch shot, stay around the corner. If we aim right at him, you can see I dealt 38 damage. So if I go, that would have been a kill. Now there's a big gap between the time I start shooting him and the time that he dies for a standing still dummy. So range is something you really, really need to be aware of when using any of the shotguns, but you especially need to be aware of it with the judge because you don't have any way to get a little bit further reach with the judge. You're just hoping that spraying enough times is going to be enough to kill him. And you can actually see that time my spread went far enough to hit this, but it also, for a few of the shots, I wasn't actually hitting him at all. You can see how he gets stuck on 88 damage. Stuck on 172 here, even though I'm spraying directly at him. That's because the spread on the judge, it gets so insane and so big, and he's only 20 meters away, but for the judge, he's so incredibly far away that you're just actually not doing anything. You're going to see a lot of kill feeds if you decide to use the judge, where people are this far out. You go to look at your death toll the next round, you're going to notice, wow, you know, I shot them with 2 entire clips, and I only dealt 40 damage. It's because a lot of your shots aren't hitting. All of the shots that are listed in the kill feed, the little thing when you hit tab and you can see the damage you dealt over on the right-hand side, all of the shots that it says you land when using a shotgun are actually each pellet that you're landing. So you're going to have weird numbers like, you know, 1 in the head, 7 in the body, 2 in the feet. And you're like, how did I land 10 shots on them and only deal 40 damage? Well, those are counting pellets. It's not actually counting, when it says a shot with a shotgun, it's not saying that. It's saying those 4 hits that you got for that example would be 4 pellets hitting them is what it's counting. And it's going to reflect that on the kill feed as well. So somewhere between 10 and 15 meters is going to be about when the cutoff for a shotgun is even relevant. If they're 20 meters away, you need to hide. You need to wait till they're approaching you from a place that gives you a little bit more comfortable position. Let's go ahead and look at the judge underneath the combat stim. And we'll do this from 10 meters out. You can see it's still very dangerous, completely spreading it. Let's go ahead and crouch, do it as well. Yeah, it's still scary. You can see the damage output is definitely there. One-shot potential is definitely there. A big tip that a lot of people don't seem to realize when using shotguns is that you don't actually want to aim at the head, because what's happening is, let's bring it a little bit closer, if their head is sitting directly in the middle of this bullseye, and we fire it, you're going to see the spread, you know, goes out typically what you would expect. Now, if we zoom in, you can see that's about the size of his head. You know, my reticle there. It's actually a little bit wider. And so if we center it right here, you're going to see there's definitely 5 in the middle that hit, and then there's 6 or 5 on the outside that are questionable. These top 2 here are definitely not hitting. So you're actually already at the closest range possible, missing 1/6 of your damage just because you're aiming at head. Now, if you do the same spread, I'll stand up. This is about as wide as his body from the front. Actually, a little bit left and right. If you aim right dead in the middle, again, you can see all of these are hitting. And those top two that were over here, as well as this one here, probably hit his head, or at least have a good shot at it. So when you're aiming with a shotgun, you want to make sure that your reticle and your spread is going to make it so that your bullets, when they come out, actually all hit at the same time. So you're going to want to aim probably not this far. You're going to want to have the bottom of your reticle sitting on their waist or a little bit above, such that the top of your reticle is not sitting over their shoulders like this. So you really want it to be right in here, right in that good sweet spot where everything's going to hit. You can see I hit all 12 pellets for 204 damage if I go up. Only 11 hit if I'm aiming right at his head. Only 8 hit. And he's only 5 meters away. I'm looking right at him. That's still a headshot, don't get me wrong, because all 8 are hitting his head. But the difference between hitting all headshots and being a little bit low, a little bit high, sorry, let me let it reset, a little bit high, is huge. That's not a kill anymore. The one where you're a little bit low, that's still a kill because all 12 are hitting. You can just see the difference in getting right here for guaranteed versus right here for only hitting 7 damage. Again, you know, I'm aware that the 7 pellets are technically a shot, but he's standing completely still. You're not going to hit all 7 on a moving target. You're not even going to hit that much on a moving target. You're going to have to fire 2 shots. Let's go ahead and take a look at the last gun we're going to be covering today, which is the Bucky. Now, the Bucky is the cheapest primary weapon that you can buy. 100 creds cheaper than the Stinger. It sits at 900. And let's go ahead and read its description over here on the right real quick. A semi-automatic with 1.1 rounds a second is its primary fire. Its alternate fire is a semi-automatic air burst, which is an extended primary fire shot. We'll get into that in a second. Has the same fire rate of 1.1 per second. The damage, which is over 15 pellets, is 22, 17, and 9 on the body at 8, 12, and 50 meters, or up to 8, 12, and 50 respectively. Magazine capacity is 5. Wall penetration is low compared to the medium of the Judge. Head damage is 44, 34, 18. Leg damage is 19, 14, 8. So the Bucky is the classic shotgun that you're used to with just, you know, games where you use a shotgun. Let's go ahead and take just a regular standing up shot right here in the middle. You can see it's definitely got a big spread, but it's all within the circle as well. And so let's take a crouch shot as well, just to go ahead and have an example. Yeah, it's got very big spread. All the things are going very far out from the middle of the shot. The thing that's different about the Bucky that a lot of people don't seem to realize is your right click. You'll see it here. Actually, I'll back up. I'll back this up a little bit. That was the alternate fire that I just did on the 10 meter button right here. Obviously, it sounded a little bit different. Why does that sound a little bit different? Let's see. If we aim right in the middle, we'll just do the normal left fire for the Bucky. You can see the spread goes out across the entire thing. Now, if we do the same thing, aiming directly at where I told you to aim with the Judge, only 5 of my 15 pellets just hit that guy, meaning that is a kill. If we let it reset fully, that would also be a kill. But you can see the first shot isn't actually killing him. That's because the spread is so large that a lot of the bullets are going around his body. You can see I can't find a good position on him where my reticle is being completely covered with person, or in this case bot. I'm only hitting 5 pellets of my 15. Now when you right click with the Bucky, you'll notice it sounds the exact same. Left, right, left, right. So what's the difference? The difference is when you right click or alternate fire with the Bucky, you fire what's called a slug shot. A slug shot with a shotgun is, instead of having a bunch of pellets that fire out at once, you fire 1. Let me move it to 5 meters so you can see. Instead of having a bunch of pellets, which is a typical shotgun shell, when you right click fire, you fire what's called a slug. You fire a single bullet. Now, the slug doesn't work exactly how a slug would work in real life, in the fact that it would just be a single, you know, ball or a single bullet. What the Bucky's alternate fire does instead is turns the slug into a delayed, I don't want to call it an explosion of pellets, but like almost like a delayed shotgun shot. And what I mean by that is it almost puts an extension on the end of your shotgun of about 5 meters before the shot actually starts going out. So you can see when I shoot from here, the pellets begin spreading out towards what I'm aiming at the end of my gun, which is why this spread meets my reticle. When I alternate fire from this length, you'll see how they're still immensely grouped up here. Let's even try it crouched. Yeah, they're all extremely clumped up in the middle. Basically what happens is, we'll use this wall for a length example. When you right-click fire, what happens is the slug from your shotgun travels out, and then it gets about here, and then it starts doing the spread. Actually, it would be about here. So you can see it puts this much distance, which is probably about 7.5 meters in between your target, the bullseye, and where you're firing from. So 7.5 meters get added to your range of your Bucky shot. Let's go ahead and try this again from right here. Maybe we can get a more accurate. Okay, so that was the alternate fire. So the spread is about there. So you see the wall ends here. It's probably just about 7.5 meters. So why does this matter? And why did I decide to cover the judge or the Bucky after the judge? The reason why I decided to do that is because the judge is pretty straightforward. It's a shotgun. You get 7 shots. It's pretty forgiving. The Bucky allows you to really outplay people with the shots you're going to be landing, as opposed to the judge where you have to, you know, get shots off like that. You don't have a lot of outplay potential. The Bucky can actually, that's a one-shot kill just by using its alternate fire. Now, if you're left firing, you're useless. Completely useless, and you're going to regret the decision to ever buy this gun. However, if you're spending only 900 creds on a Bucky and you're accurately alternate firing, that's a one-shot kill with full armor. They could have completely full armor from 10, probably about 13, 14 meters away, and your 900 cred gun is one-shotting them. A lot of people really underestimate how good the Bucky can be for a 900 cred gun, and a lot of people also don't understand how its alternate fire works. The downside to the alternate fire is you would think that if someone is this close and you left click them, you hit 14 shots, that's a one-shot kill. That is correct. And so you would also think that if you fire the slug at them from this range, all 15 pellets would have to hit them, right? Because they're still in the bullet. You'd be incorrect. The slug only counts as 1 pellet. You can see a body shot is somewhere between 22 and 17. Should be 22 damage up front at 0 to 8 meters, which is what we're at. That top line right there. Right-click fire, you're only dealing 20 damage. You are not touching this person if you're using your alternate fire. That would have been an entire clip for the Bucky to do exactly 100 damage, which means you're just going to kill them if they don't have any armor. So you have to know, you have to be able to gauge somewhere between 5 and 10, or rather 7.5, which is what we decided where the spread looks like where the alternate fire looks like it begins to spread the pellets out. You have to know how far away they are. If they are 10 meters away, you can decide, oh, that probably would have been a kill. That is definitely a kill. And so, there's that range that's somewhere between where I'm standing and the actual shot, or the actual bullseye right here. There's some range that's very close to being right about here that you have to know. This is your mark. If they're a little bit further past this, the left click fire is going to be less accurate or less damaging than the alternate fire on the Bucky. And so really understanding that range, really seeing how far away a person is going to be the difference between someone who's just buying the Bucky because they're out of money and someone who purposely bought the Bucky because they realize how punishing it can be from any of the extremely close to mid ranges of up to, let's even try a 20 meter shot just to look. So if I'm aiming directly at him, I'm going to try and hit as many pellets as possible here. You can see I dealt 16 damage from this far. That was more than a clip, just to get a kill with full armor. If we're right-clicking, that is 4 shots to get a guaranteed kill if they're not moving, even if we try it crouched. That's left-clicking. Try it crouch right-clicking. That's a kill. You can see that's the difference between 7 and 8 shots or 3. Right-click, left-click. You can see the spread is just so much more concentrated with left-click. You're hitting maybe these 3, 5 at most. The spread just gets so insane when you're left-clicking, especially after that 7.5-ish meter spread. I mean, the spread for the Bucky's already insane, even being as close as it is. That spread's so wacky to try and control, even at 5 meters. It's so much more manageable to just back up a little bit, get him about that 8 meters out, right-click fire, and just gun him down. Now, let's go ahead and look at it with the combat stim to finish out the video. Alright, we're going to left-click 5 times. Now that's fast, and all of those are actually probably kills. Yep, so you could just gun down a team in one clip. That's not something that you can't do. Let's look at it from 10 meters out under the combat stim. Again, we're going to be alternate firing here, which is your right-click, such that the spread for the pellet is delayed about 7.5 meters. Yeah, there was 15 pellets per shot, 5 shots, meaning there's 75 pellets. It doesn't look like you fired more than, 6 directly at the same spot. It's so incredibly accurate at this range. Just for fun, let's go ahead and even just do the alternate fire at 20 meters out under combat stim. I'm going to crouch as well. Yeah, you can see it's just insanely, and for a shotgun, of course, a 900 cred shotgun, it's superbly accurate, and it's really going to award you for being able to recognize the difference between left and right clicking. Let's see if we can get, yeah. All right, so that's been the breakdown for the SMGs and the shotguns. Shotguns, a lot of people talk about are pretty cheap guns just because of their one-shot potential. That's not true. Don't listen to them. They're just being salty because you've killed them. Shotguns are very good. They're extremely money efficient when you're able to hold them in tight spaces. You really need to be careful with the Bucky because of the time gap between shots that you have. The judge is a lot more rewarding if you're missing some of your shots or not hitting them directly on and making them one shot, but just shotguns in general do put you very exposed because they have such a low rate of fire. Their one shot potential is extremely high. They're very similar to the operator, except for the distance. I look at snipers and shotguns as being extremely similar in weapons just because of the time between shots and how punishing they can be if you're getting caught between them. SMGs are obviously very similar to rifles. Stinger is one of the most underrated guns in the game just because it's so extremely cheap. Gives you a lot of outplay potential in the close quarters against the shotgun because if they're missing your shots and you're weaving between them, you're going to be able to fire them down. The thing to remember with the Stingers, even if you're not scoped up, don't just be one of the people who freaks out and sprays like that. Just time your shots. Or even do it scoped down. You're going to be rewarded for patient gameplay. That's just the name of the game in Valorant. Spectre is an excellent gun anytime you're wanting to run a little cheap and can't really afford a rifle. Do not sleep on the Spectre. It's a very good gun. It's the cheap rifle option that you've even seen in pro play is they go for the Spectre. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys got some sort of insight into the weapons that are in the game. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down below. Next video is going to be over the rifle section, which is going to be fun because that's such a popular section of guns in the game that people are buying. Yeah, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I read all the comments that I'm getting. I reply to the ones that require a reply. Any questions and any interaction is greatly appreciated. I'm really enjoying doing this. I hope you guys are enjoying watching. Thanks so much and have a great day.